If you're planning to retire in Nigeria and your retirement plan is to depend on renting for the rest of your life, I genuinely think that you should rethink that plan. Some of you may not agree with me, but from my experience and from what I've seen and from things happening globally in regards to housing and renting, retirement and renting in Nigeria can become a stressful combination. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Madam Chomzi. I relocated from the UK to Nigeria about 9 or 10 months ago. And on this channel, I talk about relocating to Nigeria, the realities of living here, especially for Nigerians in diaspora. And today, I would like to have an honest and very practical conversation in regards to housing and retirement, especially for people, Nigerians in diaspora. And I would like to give my reasons why I would not advise someone, and that is my personal reason, why I would recommend or prefer that you build or you buy a house instead of renting if you plan to retire here in Nigeria permanently. Imagine being in your 60s, your 70s, or even 80s, and you decide to retire and come back home to Nigeria, and you start renting, and all of a sudden, your landlord decides to increase your rent by, let's say, 50%, 70%, or even 100%, or you're asked to vacate. At that age, would you really want to start house hunting, calling agents, inspecting houses or apartments, carrying stress up and down? Honestly, for me, that's not something I would want for myself. And in this video today, that's why I would like to talk about why timing is important, why building earlier is better, and why gradually adjusting to Nigeria before retirement makes it easier. Now, before I start, let me make this clear. These are my personal opinions. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's finances are different. Everybody's plans are different. And I'm not saying that renting in every circumstance is bad. Let's say if you're coming to Nigeria for temporarily, to let's say for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, yeah, actually renting is better. Let's say you're coming that temporarily to let's say test the waters, you're not sure of where you want to settle. You might if you decide to build, and when you're not sure of where you want to settle and you find that you don't like that place, can be a problem for you. So in situations where it's a temporary thing, you're trying to, let's say you've lived abroad for so long, and you're trying to like come back and understand Nigeria, yeah, I advise you to rent till you're sure of what you want and where you want to live or settle. Yeah, in such situation, of course, renting would be my preference, or would be the most reasonable thing to do. But if you're coming here and you're sure of you want to settle here permanently, you're sure of where you want to settle, this is my advice. I would advise that you build first. That's my preference. Or if you don't want to build, you buy. I would not advise you to rent. And these are my reasons. Number one is, and if you're in tune with what's going on with the world, you know that housing is becoming an issue. It's now becoming a global issue, especially renting is becoming a global issue. So it's not just a problem here in Nigeria, it's a global thing. But Nigeria, we have, outside of it being a global thing, we also have a peculiar challenges in Nigeria. So for me, that would be number one reason why I would never advise someone that's coming here permanently to retire to depend on renting. Rent is increasing in so many countries, even countries that have systems and regulations to control the cost of housing. People are still struggling. People with good salaries are struggling. People that earn very good income are struggling. Buying property now in so many cities abroad has become so difficult for people to do, and renting is becoming very, very expensive. So the thing is that if all these places now that have systems in place, checks in place, to regulations to check all of these price increases, the people are struggling. How much more a place like Nigeria? Let's be honest with ourselves. I'm just being realistic. I'm not being negative again. This is the reality if you want to be truthful to yourself. How much more in Nigeria, where we don't have, even if we have regulations, we don't. And even if we do, enforcement is really weak. Nobody enforces anything. How much more here? So you're putting yourself in a, that's my opinion, you're putting yourself in a state where you become so vulnerable. At that age, your age alone makes you vulnerable. And you're adding this now and putting yourself in a situation where you become so vulnerable and you're not in control at that age in regards to your housing. I think it's a no-no. What you don't want is your landlord waking up one morning and telling you, increasing the rent by 50 and 70 or 100%. That's not what you want. And you now have to start stressing yourself looking for another accommodation. That would be my number one reason for not recommending that to anybody that wants to retire permanently in Nigeria. Another reason why I would not advise someone to depend on renting for retirement is this, is because your retirement income is different. When you're younger, you're strong, you're working, your income then is not fixed. So you can work extra hours, you can decide to work extra hours because you're strong enough to do that. You can decide to go for promotions. You can decide to increase your earnings. So it's a different situation. But when you're retired, your income is somehow fixed. So you're depending on your savings, your pension, maybe income from investments, and let's say you have your property or abroad or somewhere you're renting, income from that. So the incomes are somehow different and somehow fixed. And when income is fixed, uncertainty or unpredictability is very dangerous. So when someone is young, you want to rent a bigger property or a more expensive property, you can decide to, maybe I'll work extra, I'll go get an extra job. But when you're retired, I don't think you wouldn't want to do that, and you wouldn't want to take that risk of letting someone be in control of your housing. That's just what I'm trying to say. Because your retirement income might be fixed, but rent is not fixed. So your landlord can wake up, your landlord would increase your rent at some point, and that's the truth, and you wouldn't want to live with that uncertainty. So someone that is paying 1 million this year for rent, all of a sudden next year might be paying 2 million, and that's it. And you don't want that, because what it throws into panic. Retirement, I believe for me and for everyone, is you want retirement, you want to be, it's for comfort, you know. You want it's a time of where you want a peaceful life. So you don't want to be in a state where you're constantly worrying and being anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen maybe the following year. Is this landlord going to increase my rent or not? So you don't want that. So as I said, retirement is for comfort, retirement is for peace. And if you can sort out your shelter, which is one of the most important things in life, what I always say is that once your house is sorted out, your shelter is sorted out, 3/4 of your problems is solved. You want that sorted out so that you have your retirement or live your retirement years with peace of mind. In retirement, peace of mind is very, very important. You've got to do everything to reduce stress and anxiety. Stability does matter during retirement. I would think it's really, really important. You don't want to go through the stress of moving house. If you've moved house, you know how stressful it is to move. You don't want to do that at that age. What you want is calmness, peace of mind, stability, not running around looking for property, house hunting, fear of being scammed, dealing with agencies, legal fees, all of the fees and charges that come with you trying to get a place. You don't want that during your retirement. What you want is just to enjoy your life in peace and calm. That's what you want, and that's what I want anyway. And I do believe that's what everybody wants. No normal person will want that to be in chaos during retirement. All of that uncertainty or unpredictability is what you deal with, and the level of risks you can take when you're younger is not what you can take when you're older, and that's just the summary of what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Another advice I would like to give anyone that's planning to retire in Nigeria permanently is don't leave building your house until you're too old. Anyway, the truth of the matter is, everybody knows building a house is very stressful. If you've not built a house, at least you've watch people or hear people that built house. Building a house anywhere in the world is a very stressful process. So it's not just about I have the money. It's what's involved in building. As I said, it's stressful everywhere. How much more Nigeria, where we have our own challenges. Building a house is so stressful. From my experience, building a house is so damn stressful here. The stress of following people up, calling people, repeating the same thing that you've said that is so clear, that you've made what you want, your choice. All of that back and forth, talking with people, fear of them, monitoring people so they don't steal your stuff, is constant. It's just constant. It's so exhausting physically, mentally, emotionally. Building in Nigeria will try you. When I mean try and test your patience, it will test everything in you. Your blood pressure. So there's so much micromanaging of the supervision. You are supervising the one that you're calling the supervisor. At every level, you are looking and watching to see what's going on. And I tell you, it's too much. So for me, at that someone that is younger is so stressful for that person. So can you imagine you in your 70s or 80s? This reminds me, if you can remember, there was a time there was this video online that went viral of this old man that came back. I think he was in his 80s from the US and he came back to Nigeria. And I think he was even scammed when he was trying to build a house or so. He was scammed and of how much I cannot remember. But if people can remember, where people in the church were donating money to him, it was a white garment church. People were giving him money. People were literally crying. I watched that thing. I actually cried for the man. Don't leave things too old. Until you're too old, don't leave it. It's generally Old age, you're vulnerable, just like our children are vulnerable. Old people you're vulnerable. That is the truth of the matter. You're vulnerable to so many things. Just because you're old, your body cannot take the stress that a younger person can take. So what I advise people, try and build in your 40s, 50s, or early 60s. Because I tell you, if you leave it till you're older, just get anything you see, you take. That's it. Anything you see, just take. So this would be my advice. It's a stressful process. Don't leave it until you're too old. And it's not an insult. We're going to all get to that age. Grow very old, you know. So please don't leave it till you're too old to build. So start thinking about it if you're in your 40s or your 50s, just depending on what your finance can allow. But please don't leave it till you're too old, because you're more vulnerable to scam. The older you get, the more vulnerable. Not the older you get, but you understand what I'm saying. Older people, when you're in your 80s, like the guy that we saw in the one we saw some years ago, a few years ago, that happened in his 80s, you're more vulnerable to scam. Building requires attention. It requires involvement. It requires alertness. So that's a lot, mentally, physically, and emotionally. All these things I'm saying. Attention, involvement, alertness. So you don't want all of that. So at that age, you just want to come back, enjoy yourself, relax, you know, sleep, wake up anytime you want to, do whatever you want to do. Just very slow pace of living. That's what you want. You don't want any chasing and calling artisans and shouting on people, because you will shout. You don't want all of that. It's just you don't want that in your old age. Yeah. In your old age, you don't just want that. For retirement, you don't need a mansion. So don't let finance be like a source of discouragement to you. You don't need a big house during retirement. Most people, like we that live abroad, we see that most white people, what they do is that they downsize when they are retired. So I know that in Nigeria, most times we have family members, and so most people will still want something sizable. But if you don't have that much, just something modest, simple, and small, and you're comfortable, that's what matters. The most important thing is that you have a roof over your head. That's the most important thing. So just keep it simple, nothing to really, you're not there to impress anybody, just yourself. So you're happy and you're enjoying your life at your old age, no stress. That is, that's all that matters. And again, another advice that I would like to give is, which I do think, outside of finances, this is a very, very good advice, in my opinion. No, if you cannot even afford to buy a full plot of land, you can get buy a plot of land with a friend or a family member or siblings. You guys can now like build, both of you, or build on that land. Why I say that, outside of finance being the reason for doing that, for doing this, just think about it. If we all start thinking about it, because I was just thinking about this, and I was like, that is a very good idea. In old age, you're lonely most times. Most people are lonely. So just imagine that we're a group of 5 friends come together and buy this land, you know, and like share it, and they all live like in a community. You have your friends around. You guys can check on each other. You know, you have someone checking on you, because most times old age, the problem is loneliness, because your children, they're all grown and they have to live their own life. They couldn't come and sit there and be watching you every day. So you have your friends around. You're not lonely. You guys still meet up. You in each other house, meet up with each other because you're living in the same community, and you share the same facilities probably. So even if it's like we have party every so time, but you have someone checking on you, you feel more secure. You feel safer at that age. Because someone knows that what we hear in abroad most times is that someone died, an old person died in their house for weeks or months, and people didn't even know that that person is died. So living alone in old age is risky. So this would like take away that aspect, that risk, reduce that risk. So I think it's a very good idea outside of financial reason. So this is something that people should start thinking about. I would think, especially in places like Nigeria, where people don't want to go to, don't even have care homes anyway. So that's what but people are beginning to live like in the West. Not when I mean like in the West, children are no longer, like olden days where you see generations are still in one compound. It's no longer that children grow up and leave parents to go and do their own thing. So, and you're born realistic, expecting that your children will still be, because they want to take care of you, they have their own life to live. So this for me is a good idea outside of finance. So what you can do, let's say two friends or two or a family member or two people come together, you buy this plot of land, whether it's a 50 by 100 or 60 by 120, I don't know what they do now. I know in the East now, a plot is 50 by 100, but I know in Lagos, when we were growing up in Lagos, the lands that our parents bought me, I know that the lands that my dad bought were 60 by 120, But I don't think lands are like that again anymore. The size, whatever the size is anyway. So you can buy a plot of land, and you just split it and build. And as I said, retirement is just a small thing, and you'll be fine. You'll be shocked what you can build on that land. But with proper documentation, please, because your friends, they can be. But obviously, it's got to be someone that you guys have been friends long term. You understand? That is not petty, Someone that you're sure you can stay with. But if not, but still do proper documentation, make it clear. There's got to be legal. It's got to have some legalities to it, so that there won't be confusion or problem somewhere in the future. So just build something. So if you split the land like 50 by 100, like say like 50-50. So let's say now 50 by 50, 50 by 50, and you just build a small thing. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I tell you, like a 30 feet wide house is very reasonable. It's a reasonable size. You might think it's not, but just plan. As I said, try and be creative. Think your mind. Try to sketch things. In my previous video, I was saying before you build your house, you'll be surprised what that little space can build for you. So that would be my advice for people should begin to think about bringing their finances together and achieving their dreams. Another reason why I think that I would prefer that people build earlier, they don't leave it until they are too old, it's because of adjustment. If you've lived abroad for like 20, 30, 40 years, you're different too. You're different. The Nigeria when you left is not the Nigeria that is currently. They're two different worlds, and you too, you've changed. I've said to people, if you've lived abroad for years, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, you're even changing those few years. How much more someone that has lived abroad for 20, 30, 40 years, you've changed. So you cannot underestimate the underestimate culture shocks, reverse culture shocks. So don't just think that you retire and you come back after I lived abroad many years. You just come back and you just blend in and it's fine. No. So what building your home earlier does for you is that you can be coming. So in that you're coming back once in a while. You come back, you stay for some time. You're beginning to see how you're beginning to reconnect again. You're beginning to see how things work. Getting used to the way things are gradually. So it's not like a shock on your system when you just pack yourself from your stuff and come back after 30 or 40 years, boom, and you say you retire. It's going to be a massive shock that you might not be able to take. And bearing in mind that if you've lived abroad for a very long time, when you come back, the people that know you might not really be there again, if you get me, in your community. Someone was giving us a story of a man that had lived abroad for a very long time, and he came back home. And when he came home, he's from here in Oka. He came back home, I don't know, something, but he came back anyway. He came back home. I think he was actually came back to retire here. And when he came back, people didn't really know him. The guy said that I don't know what they went, something happened anyway, that they went to how Nigeria, everybody can, if something happens, people go gather. So he said that people were just looking at the man, that the man became eventually, if you're able, you understand, something that for looking, you get me? That the guy just became like, something that people just come as in, who is this person, looking up and down, looking up and down. There was only one elderly man that recognized him, and it was, so long time, they was talking. So what the guy did say to us was that guy didn't stay, that he went back, he couldn't stay. He went back to the US. He just could not stay. So don't just think that you've been abroad for a very long time. You're not coming to Nigeria to reconnect, to try and be adjusting gradually. You just come back and you think you can just know. It's going to be difficult for you. It's really, really going to be difficult for you. You're a different person, whether you like it or not. It's just natural. You're going to change. Where you live, everything around you influences you. And that's how God's made it. So just know you're different. So try as much as you can to becoming, you can maybe retire, will I say semi-retirement? What I mean is maybe say you reduce your work so that you can now be having more time to be coming to Nigeria to see what's going, maybe even coming here, you stay for a few months, because holiday and coming back and staying is a whole two different things. Just so that before you finally make that decision to move back permanently, so that transition is easier for you. So that'll be it for today. I would like to hear what you guys think about what I've just said regarding renting for retirement. I would like to hear your opinions in the comment section, what you think, and also the advices that I give, like why timing is important, why building earlier, not waiting until you're older to build, why it's important, and the advantages or the benefits of doing that, how it helps you and prepares you for retirement. So I'd like to hear your opinions. And then if you've not subscribed to my channel, please kindly consider doing so. Thank you guys so much, all of you that have subscribed to my channel. Thank you guys for all of your support. I really do appreciate your support. Please like and share my videos. Click on the notification bell so that you receive notification anytime I upload a new video. Thank you. See you guys in the next video. Bye.